Welcome, everybody, to Too Legit to Crit, a tabletop role-playing podcast made for people who are here to roll dice and take names.
Yes, true story. And to awkwardly ask, is it up, right before you realize that as soon as I said it, I was like, oh,
To be honest,
no.
my partner does ask me the same thing. But I have asked that she put in a written request 3 weeks in advance.
I mean, at least you'll have enough heads up.
Exactly.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. We can't both drink at the same time because then you go ahead. You drink.
No.
One of us has to be talking.
Please. Ladies first.
Okay, fine.
Please.
Anyways, so
mine looks healthier. Mine does look healthier. I'm going to say that.
You're this healthy. Well, I don't know. Mine doesn't have sugar in it. Do you have sugar in your coffee?
This isn't coffee, actually. This is berry tea.
Right, because in the evening y'all do tea, herbal and berry, right?
I need to cut down on my coffee intake, so...
I need to cut down on my caffeine intake, but I don't know if that's going to happen. I did buy Christmas tea, but anyways, actually, game-related, I saw a company that sells dice packets with, like, monthly specialized tea. I'll have to find it. Yeah, I was just swiping, trying to stay awake.
Find that.
And then I was like, that's a pretty tea. Like, the packaging's pretty. And then there's gaming dice behind it. I'm like, hold up. It's like, wait a minute.
That's one of the things that I'm not going to be able to indulge in because there's no way I'm paying $20 for fucking postage.
I mean, that's fair. I don't know where they came from. I don't know where they
Guaranteed American.
Really?
Guaranteed,
with the tea thing?
Yeah, I'd put money on it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I will put money on that. That is America.
All right. I'll have to get back because this is our last episode of the year, right?
It is.
Sign off to 2024.
That is. I mean, last year we kind of did a whole, what was your favorite part of the year? This year I can't think of anything. So fuck it. We're not doing it.
Fuck you. Favorite part of your year is me joining.
Oh, yeah, that.
Because I'm so full of myself and so humble.
No, I mean, to be honest, that was a highlight. That was a highlight. You joining the ranks and the very brief window in which we both gave Justin shit.
Yeah, the very brief.
That was a very brief window, and then Justin disappeared.
But it was well loved. Justin disappeared. He's doing wonderful things with his life. I'm happy for him. Like,
I did see him the other day. I bumped into him
in real life? Like in the flesh?
supermarché, as it were. Yeah.
Wait, what'd you call it?
The supermarket. There, but supermarché, I was trying to be fancy.
Like Tajay, okay.
But yeah, we saw him there. He seems to be doing well for himself, and he is going to come back, but we just don't know when. I think shit needs to settle down on his end.
No, I feel that. I was going to say, I think my favorite thing for the year, I didn't have a whole year with you guys, but like, just like, what was the episode? I'm trying to remember, but it was one of them with all three of us. There's only been like 2 or 3 of them.
There has, yes.
But yeah, it's been a good year. It's been a good year. I'm excited for what's coming in 2025.
Me too.
It's gonna be good.
I think one thing that did happen this year that I am fucking ecstatic for is I became an NPC.
Yeah.
I became an NPC in Covenant Crucible Unbound from 13th Moon Games, which was, I can't understate the honor that is.
Mm-hmm. That's a big deal. 13th Moon Games actually has some interesting stuff that we'll be able to talk about in 2025 as well.
Yes, I have been.
Yeah.
I've been keeping in touch with our good friend
I'm
Stefan.
super excited. That'll be good too.
Also, Shadowlight and Persona, they've just released their sort of third update to their SRD, which I'm currently going through.
Yeah.
I like it. I like the system. I'm a fan of Shadowlight.
We have one more game to get in that, like, I'm hoping, like I said, 2025, there's going to be a lot of really cool things. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of cool things for the hobby. I think there's also going to be a lot of cool things for us.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of ideas which you and I will kind of talk about off air. But yeah, just kind of doing a bit of housekeeping on the show.
Yes.
And just figuring out, what things people are more interested in, what things they're not as interested in.
Which, for our listeners and viewers, like, keep an eye out on social media because we will be asking you guys questions and being like, hey, because we want to know what's valuable to you. We're doing this because we like to fucking talk about the hobby and the passion of our life. Don't get me wrong. Like, there's no agenda here. But we do value, like, y'all's opinions. And I mean, without you guys, we wouldn't know half of the really cool systems we show on here. Like,
that's incredibly true. And also, we do enjoy talking about this. We do enjoy thinking of things to talk about and different ways to agree or disagree or whatever about the hobby. But there's only a limit that 2 people can have.
Right.
there's only so much shit we can talk about. So we need you. We need your input. We need everybody to kind of go, hey, why don't you take a look at this? And that will give us something to kind of go. It'll give us a rabbit hole to go
Yeah,
down.
exactly.
And that's kind of what we need.
Yeah, we like rabbit holes. I like rabbit holes. I'm a hound
I
dog.
like rabbit holes.
Wait, can I say I'm a hound dog? Isn't that a term? Like, that's not a good thing.
I don't know. I think there was the whole Elvis thing, wasn't there?
That's right. Ain't no
I
more,
nearly sang
maybe.
it. I wasn't. I don't. Nobody deserves that.
I don't sing anything at any point, and it's a problem because, like, I'm that person. I don't mimic. Like, I know there's a thing mentally where, like, if you start a tune, someone will finish it. Like, that's a thing where you start something, someone finishes it. I don't. Like, I don't mimic it. I don't mimic the same sound. Someone can do, like, a 2-3 word trigger, and then I'm launching off singing the whole Lion King soundtrack. And I don't realize I'm doing it is the problem. I'll be sitting here crocheting or working on some art for a game, and next thing I know, I'm like, why am I singing Hakuna Matata? And someone in the room is laughing their ass off. I'm like,
yeah, my partner has that as well.
It's a problem.
And it's got to the point where I'll say things on purpose. I'll be like, I'll tell you what I want. And just kind of just wait for it. Just kind of wait for it to happen. It provides me with endless entertainment.
Yeah, that's for sure. I like hiding stuff like that in my games. And I'm very curious because I have some lines saved up from some pretty famous and popular pop culture songs and movies that I have, like, just waiting. Like, give me the opportunity to say it, because sometimes I'll say it and it goes over everyone's head. And then Bill, one of our players at the table, he's like pop culture savvy and he's up to date on all the musicals and everything. So I'll say something and I don't overly do it. I'll just be like, this is not one I've done, but I'll just be like, everyone deserves a chance to fly, guys. We need to go. Just super, like, in part of the thing. And he'll just bust out and be like, I see what you did. I see.
One of our friends that I play with, his best friend is like one of the godparents to my kids. We have not only a very similar taste in music, but we have worked together for a long time in various different places. So we've always had, like, a playlist, and we've been adding to it. So we know each other's sort of music. We know each other. So when we're around a table and someone will say something, all we need to do is look at each other and we'll immediately know a song.
Da-da.
And that'll be it. We'll be just pissing ourselves laughing. It's a phenomenal thing.
It is a phenomenal thing. And, Sam in the chat actually just asked a question. She made a comment about Pixar Easter eggs. And I'm curious because I've done this a lot in my games. I have NPCs or player characters from games that my players don't know. Like, they genuinely don't know them, that I will bring back as, like, a
nod.
Yeah. And sometimes they'll catch up on it and sometimes they don't. Or I'll leave Easter eggs from previous games in this game. Do you do that? Do you ever, like, do cute little, like...
all the time.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, all the time.
That's probably easy to do in Delta Green, right?
Delta Green, I've kind of made a point of doing it. During the because what I did a preamble where they'd go through a few of operations, and it was to learn the system and have characters that weren't that necessarily important to them. So if they died and whatever, but they would learn the system.
Okay.
But during each of those operations, I was peppering in little hints from Impossible Landscapes, the campaign that they were going to be running, or that I was going to run them through. And it was our last episode where something twigged. So what I did is, during, like, the preamble, when their sanity got quite relatively low, anytime they triggered or anytime they lost sanity, I'd describe a scene with the mean sort of Charleston music and a smoking lounge and all that. That is one of the places that you visit in Impossible Landscapes.
Okay.
And I wanted them to kind of experience that, just to kind of show how what's happening in Impossible Landscapes permeates. But that was contrived, but I also do it retroactively. Whereas I'll bring in an NPC or I'll bring in someone from another game.
I kind of really fucking love that. I think the one that messed with me the most when I was playing in one of Connell's Mutants or Masterminds games, the psychic that I was playing was not Halo. She kept hearing this song and Connell would play it, and it's Mr. Sandman, Bring Me a Dream. And it got to the point where every time that he played that in game, everyone got paranoid because, like, that meant the big bad guy was coming. And what we found out down the road was that psychic guy, or I'm sorry, that psychic character, she literally had a mental break, and that mental break created this bad guy persona.
Okay.
So like she was the bad guy and didn't even realize it. Now that's fine and dandy, except the fact that it never even dawned on me the entire reason the bad guy was created, the reasoning behind him, all these things. This character that I played was an alien, right? And she worked at I think X-Men school, right? School for the gifted, whatever.
Yeah.
And she would always put the little kids to sleep because she had that psychic power. She could, sleep. And so she would sing to them and put them to sleep. Well, that manifested subconsciously into this horrible bad guy. So he Easter eggs that occasionally. That song will be playing in one of the episodes, and all of us are like, "This isn't even the same system. Like, are we getting fucked with?" And then we're paranoid the whole time.
I think it is good to, especially if you're dealing with the same people.
Yeah.
I think it is good to have those sort of carryovers and those sort of nods, just to kind of create even if it's a loose interconnectivity. Like there was a character in my homebrew Pathfinder campaign which I brought in just for one of the players from Skulls and Shackles.
Yeah.
Just because I wanted that sort of familiarity.
That's awesome. I love that. That's so cool. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. I know a lot of times people get so bent up into like, I have to create something new and original and brand new and no one's ever experienced this before. And I was just talking about this, how like comfort games are okay. Like our table loves fantasy. Like our home table is just fantasy sluts. Like, and I mean, that's impossible. Like you put a good fantasy story in front of them, they will eat it up, right?
There is other meanings to fantasy slots. I'm just saying.
That's true. It's true. But you get my point. And like, we've been doing.
So, can anyone join this table?
Yeah. There's some healthiers on. Let's go.
Let's go join some fantasy slots.
That should be the name of a team now. Like,
%. I mean, I should have named this podcast that.
Yeah, you should have. Except, what's funny is that, like, I love fantasy. I'm intrigued by it. Like, I'm interested in it. I'm binging every single, like, Tolkien content media there is because that's my December. That's my, like, Christmas season tradition. I watch all of it. Like, I have to space it out perfectly. And now I've got to watch War of the Rohirrim, but that's a different story. But my comfort zone, my, like, I don't even have to think about it, is and has always been and probably will always be sci-fi. And what's irritating is that, like, that's not my aesthetic. Sci-fi is not my aesthetic, but it's the way my brain thinks. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? Like, I can't fucking, like, it hurts. It hurts. Especially since I'm running a fantasy campaign right now and I'm, like, having to think, like, okay, this makes sense and this makes sense. Man, this would be great if there were spaceships. No, there are no spaceships.
I had a spaceship in my fantasy.
Was it really?
Yep. 100%.
How does that work?
It was it was a weird dungeon that they'd found.
Wow.
And the floors weren't rock. The floors were this weird, it was almost like metal. It was almost like the metal from their swords. And it was like grated and all this. And then there were these weird sort of pulsating lights above that almost hummed.
Man.
And yeah, I did. Cool. So basically what I'd created was a spaceship that had crashed. From, the whole long time ago sort of thing. A spaceship had crashed and had been buried in this fantasy world. And they found AI. They found a sentient AI similar to the Deus Ex Machina of the Matrix.
I fucking love that. Yeah.
Made up of nanobots, which one of the players managed to get a really cool item of it. Yeah,
that's so cool.
It's my
love that.
At the end,
blend the genres. Do it. I love that.
That's the way I see it. I see it as we create these worlds. We, whether it's you on your own, whether it's you with players, we create this world. Why do we have to stick to norms?
We don't. And that's the thing. You don't have to stay in the box. But the whole reason I even said that was like, we are coming up on doing a legitimate, like, fantasy, old school fantasy game. It's anime themed, or anime nods, I should say. But watching the players get so hyped and so excited to play a straight up fantasy game is so refreshing because, like, it's okay to play a comfort game. It's okay to play the norm. Like, like, and I love that. It's nice. It's nice. But we're going to actually blow their socks off my next game. It's going to be fun.
Nice. Sounds really good.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
game books.
What have you been up to gaming-wise up until, like, today?
Yeah, okay.
Not very
So
much.
I
All
had to
right,
think
cool.
about it. Well, no, because my brain is weird with timelines. Because now that we do this on Sundays, I'm like, well, tonight I'm playing a dwarf. Like that's tonight, not anyways. So this week I got to play my construct, my
Nice.
to put it in layman's terms, my Jedi Knight construct. I fucking love her so much because like playing a character that has no, she has personality, she has empathy, she's sentient, but having no emotional boundaries of like, oh well, my character's upset about this, like she'd feel this way. It's very factual. Like at one point the big bad guy was like, I'm gonna blow up this planet, and she's like, no you're not. And he's like, excuse me. And I got to be like, you blow up the planet, you'll never get the key to the start jump gate. So I mean that's pretty much how simple it is. And it was just as plain as non-threatening as it can be. And it was this moment of like, oh well shit. So it's really fun playing her because she's this very just factual, reasonable person, which I am not. That's why it's fun. I am not. But yeah, right now I got to basically do a space race, and we're coming up on the jump gate, and my character is responsible for opening the jump gate. But we've got a big old like dreadnought destroyer chasing us, so it's suspense.
It sounds good.
Yeah, it's really good. And then tonight I play my dwarf, who, the best way to put it, got like possessed by demons as a child because her parents were part of a cult, just like the other players' parents.
Some parents want to
As
do.
parents do, right? Yeah. And now she's basically trying to make the world a better place and get rid of all the demons that exist in it. Cough, cough. One of the players is a tiefling, and that goes well.
Tieflings are devils. Different.
It is different. It is different. But the non-playing game related what I've been up to is Household number 2. Like their Kickstarter blew the fuck up, and it took everything in me not to spend all my money on it. Like I did the basic what I told myself I was gonna buy and back because I'm like I just need the book. I can get PDFs of everything else, and I can like buy stuff when it comes out down the road. I'm just gonna back the book. But they reached over like 500% of their, or 500,000
nice, good for
or
them.
something.
Really good.
Yeah. So like my current campaign is written. It's done. The players are just playing in a world of doing what they want in it. But on the backside that they don't realize, well, some of them do, I'm prepping for the next game I'm going to run, which is Household. So I'm secretly like, okay, like, here's the world, here's the rules. Like, so I'm prepping for that. But that's what I've been doing game-wise. What have you been doing?
So I've been putting in extra shifts with Pathfinder, trying to get my Abomination Vaults game finished.
Okay.
We did quite well. Did about 3 sessions in the space of a week.
Mm-hmm.
And it was good. It was good because we are seeing that finish line now, and it's like, okay, we've just got to plug through. We've just got to get through that and just get it absolutely done, and then I can focus on other things. The other things I've been focusing on is I've got my multi-setting campaign that I'm planning, which is going to start with sort of cyberpunk.
Okay.
I think I'm going to stick to Blades in the Dark for that. Or
Okay.
Forged in the Dark, should I say, and just kind of do all these different settings with that same rule set.
Okay.
But at the same time, I'm also looking at Savage Worlds. Been looking to get into that just because it is a tool set. And
it is.
It seems like I resonate more with that than I do with Cypher. So yeah, I've been getting to grips with Savage Worlds, just going through the core rulebook. Mm-hmm. Also prepping the One Ring because I've got a One Ring game coming up, and also we played some Fabula Ultima.
Yeah,
with a Couch. He ran a fantastic game. It was a ton of fun.
That's awesome.
Our characters are now getting. I think I'm 1 away from 20th level now.
Jeez.
So it is getting to be a load of fun, and yeah. So that's awesome. Fabula Ultima, Pathfinder, and hopefully I can start getting these other campaigns sort of prepared.
That's what I've been looking at. Like 2024 is done for me mentally. Like I'm done. I am very much so in prep stage for 2025. I'm looking at my schedule. I'm looking at rearranging how I do things because my work schedule is weird. I don't know what's going on with my work schedule, but yeah.
So I did one other thing.
This is what I think I'm excited to hear about.
So I had the kids this weekend.
Yeah.
And we have been getting into tabletop role-playing games. My daughter calls them princess games because her first character was a princess.
I love that so much.
So we've tried different things. I did try No Thank You Evil.
Mm-hmm.
I tried Pathfinder, like a loose version of Pathfinder.
Yeah, make it what you want.
But I realized that is really incredibly restrictive, not only for kids. It's just a restrictive system.
Yeah.
Like, it's horrible. Can I do this? No, because your character sheet says you can't.
Yeah.
And that's D&D, that's Pathfinder,
It's a lot of game systems,
it's a lot of games. But those two being the worst.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so this time around, because they're currently learning like maths at the level they're at, I thought, why not implement that in the game?
Mm-hmm.
So for my eldest, what I did was I made him roll 2d12s and he had to multiply the result.
Shit.
And if he got it right, he succeeded.
Well, see, that's great.
If he didn't get it right, and this was the hardest part for me, to kind of go, oh, sorry. But yeah, he did. He resonated with that really quickly.
That's good.
It got to the point where it's like, shit, I need to do something more challenging for you. Because it was, he got to the stage where he was getting everything right. My daughter, she's a bit younger, so what we did was 3d6 with dots. And she had to count the dots.
Okay, that's mean. I mean, it's brilliant. I love it. But me, as someone who does not math, that's mean. I would have hated that.
All she had to do was count. That's what
was
she's
she allowed
doing.
to use her fingers?
Yep.
Okay,
she was allowed to. She was but she's pointing at the dots. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, if she got it right, she succeeded. If she didn't get it right, she didn't succeed.
Yeah.
And they really fucking enjoyed that.
I bet. Yeah, because that still has a little bit of like personal challenge and personal growth.
Yeah.
But like, that's awesome. That's really, really cool. I love that. Like a lot. I feel like then whenever it's something that you can both get excited about in real life skills and gaming skills at the same time, that's always a plus. That's a really cool benefit. I don't think that that's in a lot of gaming systems. What did you use for that when you did that?
No, that was it. That was the system.
But that was just you. Okay, that's cool.
So basically, I kind of taken cues from Michael.
Yeah.
I gave him a piece of paper and I just went, right, what's your character?
Yeah.
So my daughter, she was a zombie princess.
I love it.
Zombie princess. Okay. What does your character have?
Yeah.
A bow and arrow and a dagger. Cool.
Smart.
And then my son, he was like, okay, what is yours? I'm a sorcerer. Okay. What do you have? A spear. Sweet. And that was it. And when it came to, all right.
Yeah.
What do you want to do? I want to do that. How are you doing that? What are you doing for that? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm casting down a spell. It's like,
that's fantastic.
Sweet. Roll and see if you get this right.
I love that.
And, I winged a story from just made something up and it worked really well.
That's the best time though. Like, honestly, like, because when, not to bring up Household again, but I'm going to bring it up again. I did a one shot for my players because our game got canceled. Only 2 players could show up. So I was like, all right, we'll take the pre-made character sheets from Household and I will throw something together real quick. And to be honest, that was probably the most fun I've seen my players have because it was 100% like I winged it. I mean, I had some story points, mind you, but like,
yeah,
fuck if I know. Like, I just was like, okay, this is happening. Let's do this. And the thing I like about that system too is that, like, yes, there are roles. Yes, there are things that you can and can't do depending on what you want to roll. But you have like the whole option of you can roll and try to do whatever you want. And there's never going to be, even if you fail on your dice, you don't have any matches. It's not you don't do it. It's you don't get the result you wanted. You still do it. Like, and I'm like, I love that. That's so much fun because then it creates an opportunity for me as a DM to like come up with some weird ass shit I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, they were thrilled by it. They were thrilled because, they were kind of running the story. I was just basically responding to what they did. So they would try something. If it failed, then there were consequences.
Yeah.
And it wasn't codified. I haven't written anything down. I haven't of gone, oh, well, if this happened, it was just, okay, so what I'll say is this. Props to Michael from Infinibrix, who just basically said, yeah, we need to play pretend more. And we fucking did. And they absolutely loved it.
That's good.
So we did leave it on a cliffhanger. They went and defeated the bad wizard. And the bad wizard said, I brought you here because the warlock is coming after whoever owns this tower. And now that you've defeated me, you own the tower. So I was like, and that was a massive cliffhanger moment. So yeah, we'll probably be playing that over Christmas at some point.
That's exciting. I love that.
I'm psyched for it.
I don't think we have a Christmas episode. Like we had a quote unquote Halloween episode, but the weekend that we're doing. Wait a minute, am I running Christmas episode? Oh, hang on a second. I gotta check my calendar.
Okay, so Atlas is currently checking our calendar. So what I will go and do is very quickly, I'm going to give a quick shout out to our supporters because, you know, this could be a mental breakdown moment, so we don't want to miss it. All right, so 13th Moon Games is a family-run indie game company out of Wyoming, USA that created the tabletop role-playing game Coven and Crucible, a game of modern-day witchcraft. If you can imagine the John Wick movies and the last Witch Hunter movie got together in a really pretty baby, Coven and Crucible would be it. If you want to learn more or are interested in joining the official Discord, check them out on Instagram. Or you can go to patreon.com/13th Moon Games. Also, step into a universe where fandoms collide. Welcome to Crossing the Nerdverse, your ultimate portal to all things geeky and glorious. Whether you're into comics, gaming, or sci-fi, we have got you covered in exclusive interviews, epic debates, and insider tips from your favorite creators. Sorry, I lost my point. Join the adventure at crossingthenerdverse.com and unleash your inner nerd. Embrace the passion, celebrate the culture, crossing the Nerdverse where every fan finds their place. And lastly, check out our merch store where you can find our t-shirts, hoodies, and desk mats, and other items either with our logo or our supernatural-inspired waffle-on design. If you want to support us more directly, you can head to our Ko-fi page and make a one-time donation, or subscribe to our $3 a month tier, which gives you exclusive Discord access, and I mentioned in our credits. And as always, the best way to support us is by hitting that subscribe button and telling your friends about us.
There might even be new designs in 2025 for our merch store.
There might be. I'm currently working on a couple.
Yeah, I had a couple ideas, and I'm like, oh, yeah.
So, have you checked your calendar?
Yeah.
Are you doing Christmas episodes? Fuck you.
Originally, it was supposed to be Connell because we were going to do Christmas the weekend before Christmas.
Yeah.
But then we all as a group decided because of schedules and everything, just to be safe, we're going to do it the weekend after Christmas. And I just looked and it's mine. So now I'm like, so I either have to come up with a one shot or come up with a way to Christmasify my current game.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, just add some fucking tinsel.
True. That right
it's like
now,
my place. I had a fucking tree and that's it. It's Christmas.
Yes. I didn't get a chance to decorate much this year because like the cost of moving is a fucking lot. And like my Christmas decorations for my last house don't really fit this house. And I don't mean like, oh, it doesn't fit the aesthetic. Like, no, it does not fit. Like So I have a tree and I have a wreath on my front door and I have Christmas lights behind my TV. That's what I got. But yeah, no, like right now my players are they're called the Hallowed Peaks, and it is basically a mountain range that people do not go into. And there's a culture that lives within it, a druidic culture that like their one job is to basically take care of the supernatural elements that are associated with said mountains. So I could make that Christmassy somehow.
Fair enough. And the Hollow Peak's a bit of a shit moment.
The Hallowed Peaks are actually the home of one of our players. Yeah, so they're gonna head up there to basically find out a bunch of really cool secrets that none of them even really saw coming. So it's gonna be good. But yeah,
as fascinating as that is, I'm disappointed you didn't jump on the segue.
What segue?
The segue was the oh shit moment.
Oh shit moment.
I miss Justin. I'm only kidding. I do miss him.
I told you, I'm half asleep. Like.
All right, so I put it out into threads. If people could give us their biggest oh shit moments, you know.
To be honest, I forgot that was your latest question. I forgot.
As a player or as a GM, where, you know, you kind of bring out, and it's happened to me many times where I brought out a boss, they've rolled, and then have gone, there's a 45 hit, and I've gone, no. That's an oh shit moment. So, we're going to start off with Dragon Punch Squad. He says that literally whenever a mini-boss enters an already running combat, he almost passes out every time. That, I get that. That is a fucking... And there was we did one fucking in Fabula not long ago, where Couch basically threw something at us that we were crushing. And, you know, noob moment, I got overexcited and started spunking all my abilities. And then the boss came out. It's like, well...
Whoops. Yep.
All right. So, Tezrak the Imp Slayer, good old Craig. He says, when the group campaign I was in at the time discovered that the DM turned my dead PC from earlier in the campaign into the big bad evil guy. That's good. I've done that before. Yep, I have done that.
Yeah. That's a little similar to in Inmates right now. The character, the what y'all are calling the Ghost Rider character. That's a
Well, he's
player
now
character.
free, which is a good thing.
I told you not to, by the way.
It's
like,
a good
what
thing.
the hell, man?
It's a good thing. All right. So, Rogue Diopt wrote that my party and I were on the way to find a frost giant, and because of my cape, I can fly. So I went off investigating a mysterious noise when I came across what we ended up calling the frost giant's puppy, and it had frosty breath weapon. Knocked me down to 1 HP, and I had to try and fly faster than it ran. Made it barely. That's a good old shit moment.
I need to know the Rogue Dio PT, who their GM is, because, like, props. I love that entire, like, Frost Giant's puppy. Like, I'm here for it.
Okay, so the VTTDM, says, every time I down a player, I slightly panic as I'm truly not out to kill nor TPK anyone. Not until my group finds enough to resurrect anyway.
Aww.
I can't relate.
I can.
I genuinely can't relate. I laugh and I laugh.
My very first combat I put my players in was an oh shit moment because I thought I had constructed like a super easy combat. Like, I think it was a village full of like tiny spiders and like one big like boss spider. I thought this was like, oh, it's fine, right? Until I made the big bad DM mistake of like, I didn't take into consideration the resistances of the bad guys versus the players. So I had a whole bunch of poisonous tiny little spiders and nobody was resistant to poison. And I'm just like, no. And it's like a village, like they're surrounded by these spiders. I'm going, they're going to die. Mid game, everything's fine. I just had this moment of pause where I was like, shit, they're going to die. First episode, they're all going to die.
I've only had that once where I've kind of gone, oh shit, I'm going to kill them. And it was in the final battle of a campaign. Where it's like, no, this has to end.
Yeah.
And I basically, as per the numbers, it was a balanced encounter. But I didn't take into consideration the creature's abilities, which, holy fuck.
Yeah.
You know, it had 100 attacks of opportunity around.
Yeah.
Anything that, and it had insane reach, so anything that provoked.
Yeah.
Got absolutely fucked.
Yep.
It was brutal, but funny as fuck. So I had to dial it back. I had to kind of, I won't say fudge rolls because I never do that. And I know that's a hot topic right now.
No, yeah, but like I've done the thing where even though something has the opportunity, like the moment of opportunity, what is it?
I don't necessarily,
they don't have to. Yeah, exactly.
You choose not to thingy, and I've done that. I haven't fudge rolls. But anyway, so Glean 82. This is a bit of a long one. So 10 sessions ago, Warlock picked up an iron coin with the silver of the first hag's soul in it. She slowly corrupts him. Fiend patron gets jealous. A few sessions ago, the party learned who is in the coin and resolved to fix things. Meanwhile, the hag has basically suppressed the fiend patron and the warlock is all in with her. Last session, during combat in Lava City, Bard decides time is now, tells me he wants to pickpocket the coin and throw it in lava. Fails check, goes for it anyway. Contested dex check with Warlock, he grabs the coin and both he and Warlock have to make wisdom saves. High DC for the Bard, low DC for Warlock, same roll from each. Warlock saves, takes a little bit of psychic damage as the hag is essentially ripped from him. The void is quickly filled by the smooth voice of his fiend patron. Meanwhile, the Bard fails, you can't throw a coin into lava as planned. Hag in coin speaks to him. Finally, it's you.
I think I would have been oh shit too. Like that's, yeah.
You know, dice sometimes tell the story, and that was a prime example of that. Okay, so Torak DVA. When my group almost TPK'd in a tough fight because instead of using tactics like they had been for months, one player jumped right into the middle of the enemy and tried to get in a quick sneak attack. All tactics out the window, and then the dice were on my side, and all enemies were rolling max damage.
That's pretty good.
You know.
Those are all really good.
Connell, recently, a double O shit, when a hero went to snap someone's neck, only to find out they'd already been played. Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, I was liberated.
Yep, I remember that now. I was like, wait a minute, what game was that? Oh, yeah.
And then all time is maybe when the group realized that the sweet psychic alien had effectively conjured up a supervillain in response to repeated emotional trauma. All right, who we got? We got clearly a dinosaur next.
Okay.
I was in a fight where I was primarily a controller. Another player was AoE, and we fought in a group of monsters that could mirror our attacks. The wizard used a big spell pretty early and barely caught anyone in it. I was swarmed, one shot, and no one could get to me. Everything was foreshadowed well by the DM, but the wizard was the wizard. I died, and everyone else had 5 hit points or less. I think at that point, it's not an oh shit moment. I think the oh shit moment's when you got swarmed. After that, you're just waiting for the inevitable.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't think I've had any oh shit moments like in the games that I've run. Other than that, like, oh, I'm gonna kill them. But like my players so far haven't really thrown me under the bus yet. I say that.
As a GM, I've had a few. There was one, because I play the villain GM really well.
Yeah.
All right. I'm a fair GM. You know, I'm for the players more than I am for my own.
Mm-hmm.
But I play the villain really well. So I'm the GM that will go, I'm going to kill your characters. What I do at the end is completely different, but I just like having that sort of banter of kind of going, that character's going to die. These characters are in love. I'll be shamed when I kill one of them. So it was one session where I actually did that, where we started the session, and I went, I don't know, guys, I've just got sneaky feeling that someone's going to die tonight. And someone did. And I was like, well, fuck. But to be honest, it was Phantasmal Killer, and it's hard to pull off. They had to roll like shit for it. It wasn't...
That is hard to pull off, to be completely honest.
But yeah, it was funny as fuck.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's a fictional character. They'll be fine. They'll get over it.
Yeah, it's fine. It's a flesh wound. Just brush it off. Keep walking. It's no big deal.
Okay, so Connell in the chat has put probably my best oh shit moment was when I did my dual reality cross-campaign boss fight finale.
I was there for that, and I can testify to that. That was... We all thought we were going to die. Like, we were convinced as TPK, the moon exploded, the big bad guy, we didn't stop in time. Like, the sun was the bad guy, and the sun-based, like, child sun, not like sun, boom, sun.
Either way works.
Yeah.
You know.
And he basically exploded into this giant tentacle, not tentacle, like, squishy tentacle, but, like, shadows, right? Like, just, like, this whatever shadows. And literally, us as players, we all look at each other, and we're like, okay, so he's going to do all the heroes die ending to the story. Very, very long story short, it was kind of an Avengers Assemble moment because Excalibur was in the storyline, the sword. That gets thrown in the air, and before none of us have enough movement speed to catch it. And actually one of my original characters from a campaign forever ago caught it. And she basically threw it back to one of my other friends. And so what happened is we had us, an alternative reality other game, playing actually with ourselves. It was really fucking cool, but it was definitely one of those oh shit moments where we're like, oh shit, what just happened? Like,
nice.
Awesome. Yeah.
Another one that is added is my biggest one as a player was when we had to fight a bunch of shadows, then realized none of our magic items were weapons, so we couldn't hurt them. Oh. Yeah, I remember. I mean, obviously... I remember shadows from Pathfinder 1st edition. They were arses. Especially at low levels. Fuck.
I may or may not be putting some shadows in an upcoming game.
Yeah, put them in. Put them in. Fuck them.
I've been playing through my monster book, and I was like, I'm just like bookkeeping, like all these monsters like I want to put in my game because I love monsters. They're fun. They're little puppies that need love.
Oh, puppies. Yeah, of course. They do. They do need love. All right. So, have you ever heard of the term ludonarrative dissonance?
No, that sounds like far too much science.
Okay, it's not. It's
okay.
It is. It's a term that's mostly applied to video games.
Okay.
Right, and it was coined back in 2007 by a gentleman called Clint Hawking in a blog post. Right, and what it means is a discrepancy or a conflict between a video game, like a video game's narrative.
Okay.
Told through the non-interactive elements and the narrative told through the gameplay. Right? So where those things don't quite match up. And one of the prime examples that people tend to throw out is Grand Theft Auto 4. Right? If you've ever played Grand Theft Auto 4, you play this gangster, this Russian gangster, who during the entire course of the story is going, I don't like this life, I don't want this life, I want to just settle down, blah, blah, blah. But then obviously he gets into the hands of the player who begins to mow down prostitutes. Okay. So it's when the mechanics, and I'm wondering how much that transfers over to tabletop. When the mechanics of something don't fit the narrative. Now, in video games, it's a design flaw through and through. You know, the designers of Grand Theft Auto 4 didn't really consider player choice.
Right.
So they put out this sort of story of, I want to be good and all this, but obviously give it to the players. What's the first thing they're going to do? They're going to start rocket launching people.
Right.
So that for me is design flaw. But when it comes to tabletop role-playing games, I think it does exist, but I think it's more player orientated. So I'll give you an example.
Okay.
All right. I have got in my game, I've got two players whose characters are romantically involved. Right. So in a combat, something happens, one of them gets dropped.
Okay.
Narratively, if you are in a situation where the person you love is suddenly dropped, your first priority is going to be them. However, what it normally transpires 9 times out of 10 is that they will carry on playing because of the fear of the mechanical repercussions. So if I move away to rescue him, I'm going to get an attack of opportunity against me. And it's like, yeah, but the narrative, the story that you are kind of putting forward is that you two are romantically intertwined. This is your partner. This is your life mate. So it'd be like, come hell or high water, I'm getting to them. I do not give a shit what happens. So
I definitely think you nailed it on the head when you first started the whole thing, that it's player based, because like at our table, we've had several situations like that where we've had actually a romantic character go down, and honestly, like our players are very heavily invested in our characters no matter what system we're playing. And he went over to his downed spouse and almost nearly TPK'd the entire like party in order to go to his spouse. I can, however, see and I've seen other people, like, I know what you're talking about. It's like the murder hobos, right? Or lack thereof. I can see that happening in any system, because I think you're right. I think it's the players forgetting to immerse themselves in the game itself, like the story, not even the game, because the game technically is what's the mechanics are, but the story and the role playing. So I can see that. I get that.
So with that in mind, do you see it as something that would be more prevalent in a more mechanics heavy game? Can you see it happening?
I don't
know.
I don't want to say no, duh. You answered like a rigged question, because like a game with mechanics in it that are more like there are rules and mechanics in it, there will obviously be more opportunities for people to like stick to the mechanics than the story. Whereas like a game that doesn't have strong mechanics in it, obviously they're not going to be tempted by the mechanics because there are none. So like, kind of answers your own question by asking the question.
No, but I mean, I wanted your take on it, not necessarily like mine.
Yeah, I mean, that's like I don't really think there is a take on it, but yeah, like I can totally see people doing that. I have not experienced it myself in any of the games I've played over the years, but I've seen it, and I've seen it in a couple of different systems. But it's also like, what really irks me is when people, we talked about this with Fabula, right? You get Fabula points, and people don't use it because like, oh, but I might want to use it down the road for this. Like, oh, I want to hold on to that. It's the same thing for me, where it's like, do what makes sense for your character in the story. Stop worrying about metaing and playing out of meta. So yeah, like that's part of, I think, the balance of playing those games.
And do you also think, like, for example, if we kind of lean on the hypothesis that obviously the more mechanically influenced a game is, the more you are going to kind of focus your choices and your actions around those mechanics, which kind of makes sense if you think about it. So do you think that peer pressure has an effect on that? Do you think, like, for example, one of the players at my table is brilliant for this. He will play narrative first, even if he's playing Pathfinder, he'll play narrative first. And there was one incident where they were in a combat. The cleric cast a shining wall, I think it's called, where if you're very close to it, you get blinded. Right? So he cast it. He didn't really think about it too much. He just cast the spell. Our fighter, he was he was to the wall, failed the save, blinded.
Yeah.
Right? Shit. And, it was a genuine mistake from the cleric that they didn't really think about it too much. And that's fine. So then, on the next, I'm going to walk straight forward. And you should have seen the reaction of the table, because it was like, no, you're going to walk into this, you're going to take damage, it can potentially kill you.
Right, yeah.
And the player turned around and went, I'm sorry, but you've cast this.
Yeah.
Which has suddenly blinded me.
Right.
You haven't said anything. You haven't given warning. All you've done is cast it. So if I don't do this, then it's metagame.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, that's kind of what I was saying earlier, is that it's like, what you're asking is like, is metagaming a thing? And yeah, like it is, because, and you made a statement earlier about like games mechanics, people are more prone to think of the mechanics first. I think that's a super, like, I don't think that's a bluntly true statement. I think it's common, but like, I know so many amazing players and communities of players that they use the mechanics as guidelines for their role playing. And I think that's kind of what I was trying to get to earlier when I said like there's a balance to it, because I think that part of the game itself, like people are either it's 100% mechanic or it's 100% role playing. And I think one of the beautiful
is a word.
Yeah, beautiful. One of the most beautiful things I love about the hobby and the game itself is blending and balancing those two things. And you're like that player that you did that was like, no, I'm going to walk forward. That is my table. And that's why I love my table so much, is because we will have that comment of like, shit, like I can't do this, I'm going to get damaged. But then literally right next out of the mouth is like, oh, but you didn't say anything. So they take the damage. And so it's like, yeah.
So, okay, I will rephrase it then. Do you think it's much more prevalent in games which have got a heavier mechanic drive for the ignoring the narrative aspects of your character, which isn't necessarily metagaming or not metagaming? They are related, but it would be a case of, I don't know, to put it like in a blunt example, which would probably never happen. You've got a righteous paladin that commits a terrible crime, which I've had happen before, to be fair, to come to think about it, where it's like, I have got a narrative, I've got an idea for my character, and people who optimize in these games, a lot of times what they will do, they will marry those things together. They will kind of go, right, I'm going to take this ability, and they will then justify it in a narrative sense. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to having a narrative for your character, having an established thing, and going against it because of the mechanical benefits that provides.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's, I mean, that by description, that is literally the description of min-maxer players. Like, whew, that's a whole breed of players I stay away from.
I mean, I think the prime example is okay, you two are romantically inclined, but what happens when the person that you will say you would die for is in dire straits, and you're thinking about, but I can't sacrifice an action.
I see what you're saying, and I know they exist because I've seen those players. They're the min-maxers, like, well, I'll lose my opportunity of attack and my action, so I'm not going to do that, and I'll save it. Like, I've seen that. Thankfully, I am very careful about who I surround myself with and who I play with. I've never played with anybody like that in the many years I've played, because like that to me is not. It's a min-maxing culture. Like every gaming community has subcultures in it, and I want to play the story. I like the mechanics. I like the rules. I like the crunchiness, because for me that's fun. But like the story of the character itself will always, like when I make characters, right? Like it's never this is a really cool build. It's I'm creating a character who has, like, in my opinion, the cool story that's tied into the main story. And then after the fact, it's like, okay, that's cool ability, that's cool ability, that's cool ability. So like, yes, what you're saying, I totally get it. And I agree, it definitely exists, but that's literally like the min-max culture of, oh, well, I'm taking the best ability and opportunity to play the mechanic and not the play, or not the character,
I've seen it.
you know?
I'll be completely transparent.
Mm-hmm.
I've only ever seen it in one system.
Yeah, well,
Like, only
we
ever
all
seen
knew
it
that.
in one system. And
We all knew which system you're talking about.
you know, it's a case of, okay, I want to do this cool thing. Cool. And I will say, it's not doable in one turn.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You're going to have to take a couple of turns to do. Well, I'm not going to do it then. It's like, why not? You're talking about 6 extra
That actually
seconds.
happened in Fate. We were, what was that episode? It was something about a ritual. It would have taken a couple of rounds or something. And because it was going to take a couple of rounds, they didn't want to do it. What was that move? It was, I know you know what I'm talking about. It's what is it called? You can see in the future. It starts with a P. Premonition.
A premonition.
It was something along those lines. And they chose, yeah. So yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. Where it's kind of like, character-wise, that I feel like that character would have done that, but it was like, oh, it's gonna take a couple rounds and some time, so we're not gonna do it. So yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. That does exist out there.
And another thing I want to add is I kind of want to circle back to the peer pressure element of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because I've seen it happen. You know, I've been fortunate to play with or run tables for many different people, like in their hundreds.
Yeah.
So, you know, I've seen all different types of playstyles. And one thing I'll always see, especially in the more mechanics-heavy games, is, oh, I want to do... And all of a sudden, someone will pipe up the table. Oh, but if you do this and do this, like, whoa, can't... No. You know, it makes sense for the story. This person is trying to kind of help craft a scene here. And because it isn't as optimized as you would like it to be, do me a favor, shut the fuck up.
We have an unspoken house rule with our table where when someone starts to step in and say something about a character's build or something, we just lovingly yell. It's not like, yo, bitch, stop talking. But we lovingly yell. We're like, you're not there. Or like, it's not your character. I think that bluntness at our table has really gotten rid of peer pressure. We try really, really hard. Our table is not always super healthy. We've had some really, really unhealthy phases and years in our table and games and systems and styles. But we've worked really hard as a group of friends to make sure that it stays healthy at all costs. And I think that is something that I've been really looking forward into dragging into my online gaming with the games I'm going to be running in 2025 is that like, it needs to make sure like everyone's having fun. Yes. But like in that fun, it needs to be healthy. Like there should play the game and play your character how you want to play it. You know what I mean? Like if you want to do something that is so fucking stupid to the numbers of the game, do it. Like we did that in my household game, that one shot episode I was telling you about. One of the characters like wanted to do this ape shit crazy thing with this giant jar of honey that was gonna get him killed, but he did it. I just think it's like, okay, sure, okay, whatever. But no, I think yeah, like you're hitting a point that's very common out there. Like that's almost like asking the question like, are people more tempted to break the rules on a game that has rules or a game that doesn't have rules? So it's kind of like, well, duh.
I mean, all the games we play have some modicum of rules.
Right.
All right, so they do have some sort of benefit. For Blades in the Dark, the concept of ludonarrative dissonance is built into the system, where you have a certain set of skills.
Yeah.
But it's those skills intentionally overlap. So you don't have that, well, I don't have this, so I can't roll it. So players are encouraged to kind of go, can I apply this? Can I justify using this particular skill? Right. Whereas in, again, Pathfinder, because that's the experience I've got, the skills are very much defined. You know, and it's more the situation that will provide an overlap of skills than the skills themselves.
Yeah.
So players will go, I don't have it, so I'm not going to roll. It's okay. You're rolling to recall note. You're rolling to something that does not necessarily require you to have any training in this particular thing. However, me as the GM, I'm seeing the DCs that are provided and just kind of go, there is no way someone would be able to roll on that. As much as the rulebook says they can. Yeah. What's the fucking point? And that, for me, is ludonarrative dissonance.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I really love about, again, like just the experiences that I've had is that I don't think I've ever had a GM say you can't roll that. Like I played a lot of D&D 5e and no one's ever told me I can't roll something. And I think again it goes back to what you said at the very beginning of this. Like the game was designed to like give the game the what is it, the car game with the Grand Theft Auto was designed was designed in a certain way and they didn't anticipate the players playing a certain way. And I think that that's gold, what you just said. Like, it doesn't matter what game or design it is. The type of players that are going to play it are going to be the type of players that they are. Like, I can walk into Threads. It's on like,
walk into Threads.
I'm going to walk into Threads.
You kick off your shoes, you
exactly
spark up a pipe, and you sit on your comfy chair.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I've seen some people play like a range of systems, but like, I've seen people play a system so narratively that it's not built to be narrative. But then like I walk into like a local store and watch people play the same system and it's completely crunchy mechanical, like you said, like, oh, we're playing the mechanics so I can get the best roll out of the best opportunity. So I think it comes down to the players, like you said. Like,
to be honest, I think it is a combination though. I think certain systems account for it more than others.
Maybe.
I mean, a prime example is hit points. All right. So hit points is an abstract representation of somebody's health. A dragon is just as lethal at 250 hit points as they are with 1 hit point.
Mm.
That is a prime example of ludonarrative dissonance.
Mm.
You know, whereas other systems, they account for that.
Yeah.
But that is a prime example. So I think the system does have a lot to say for that. And the more mechanic the system is, like Connell has just popped in the chat, thought process behind when someone says out of spells and they say, I don't have any spells, so I can't do anything.
Oh, yeah.
That's a prime example.
Yeah.
And that actually, I think it's a combination of both the system and the player, to be honest.
That baffled me because I actually heard that phrase come out of someone. I was involved. I don't remember if I was watching a game or if I was in the game, but the Shadowlight and Persona, someone said that while playing Shadowlight and Persona, which is a rules light game. Like it still has rules, but like, you know, you're talking about the hit points, you know, it's like you hit someone and it's a hit. Like there's no like amount of damage per whatever. And someone did make the comment like, well, I can't really do anything. And I was just sitting here like watching it going, how do you not have nothing to do in a game where it's all about like opportunity? Like, and it's because they were thinking like attack, they were thinking spell, they were thinking, even our Fabula game, people have said that before. Even in Mutants and Masterminds, I've heard that, and it's just kind of like,
I just think it's something that is quite interesting in a concept, and someone who's kind of looking to eventually design his own game. Yeah. It's something that I find quite fascinating, and I think system and players. I think some systems encourage a type of play more than others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think some systems encourage especially Pathfinder. It's okay, you have these actions. This is what you can do in this turn. And they're very prohibitive.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They are not about what your character can do. Yeah. They're more about what your character cannot do. And props to Chris for actually coining that the other day when he and I were chatting.
Mm-hmm.
It is what about your character can't do. And that's when people in a round of Pathfinder, they're trying to irk out every bit of effectiveness out of their turn.
Yeah.
But to the point where they'll do stuff that doesn't make any sense.
No. I've seen that. Like when I was before I started actually playing the game, I always wanted to play some sort of like tabletop role playing game. And obviously the one I always heard about was D&D because that's like the most popular, common mainstream one. And I was so eager to play that like I would just start watching YouTube videos of people playing D&D. And I've seen that where it's like so out of character, things that would happen that I'm like, okay, cool. So like I know it exists. It's definitely out there. I will gush over my table. I know my table's not perfect. Everyone has their flaws. But like one thing I can 100% say about my table that I'm super proud of my players about is that they always put their characters first. And I'm like, I'm so lucky that that's like my first real table experience. Like I had a table back in Indiana, but I think we only played like a handful of times. I don't know if it counts as a table, but yeah, no, because I did have a player back in Indiana who was also one of our GMs that was a very, actually game store min-maxer. and they were miserable to play with because it was all numbers, it was all stats, but that's the game that they like to play, and let them play it. That's fine.
Yeah,
I didn't enjoy it. I was like, okay, this isn't the kind of game I want to play. So again, I changed who I hung out with. I changed who I played with, and yeah.
I mean, Connell has actually put something really interesting in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
He says that he's seen arguments that it is video game bleed. That the mentality of video games is about maximizing efficiency because they can't program everything. And that's actually is.
Yeah.
That is, I think that's quite accurate. I think he's onto something with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's right. Like, that is a thing. I've watched people try and play games. You know, I ever watched someone like playing a TTRPG and you can tell they're trying to win the game. Like, they get really upset because they're trying to win. And it's like, you can't win a TTRPG. Like, and it's that, I think it's that video game mentality that bleeds over of like, oh, if I do this, that, and this, that, and this, that, A plus B equals C, I kill the bad guy, I win. And it's like, no. No.
That for me happens when the players have too much access to the rules. Or the rules are codified. Mm-hmm. When it takes away the agency for the GM to kind of go, yeah, I'm not going to allow that. Mm-hmm. You know, because page 37, fuck you and your book.
Yeah, exactly.
That's something, despite how much Pathfinder, like, went in my home games, I don't give a shit what the book says.
Yeah, like, if it is a groundbreaking change, again, changing your character thing, then I need to read it and be like, hold up, time out. Like, can your character, in character, pull this off? But, like, if it's a small mechanic, I don't really fucking care. Like, there's this one move that I really love. Basically, as a reaction, you create an earthen wall as protection. It just like a wall of earth to protect yourself. And one of my players was like, it's supposed to be for yourself. Can I cast it for that person over there? I'm like, duh. Like, that makes sense for your character. Why wouldn't you be able to be? Yeah. Well, the book says, I don't care what the book says. That makes sense for your character. Your character is all about protecting people. Go do it. Like,
yeah. And I do believe, on that note, that is about all we've got time for tonight. It has flown, hasn't it?
Man. All right.
It is very much flown today.
It has. All right. Well, I guess I'll see everybody in 2025.
Yeah, that's it. It's, you know, weird. This not seeing everyone. It's going to be, 3 weeks now?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first, I think we worked it out to be the 5th of January. That's the first Sunday. We will be back. And I think we'll do a New Year's resolutions episode.
Okay, that sounds good.
We've got 3 weeks to think about our gaming New Year's resolutions, things we want to see happen, things we want to do.
And if you're a person who cringes at resolutions, it can be your New Year game goals.
If you're the person who cringes at resolutions, fucking tough. Anyway, but I want to thank everyone in the chat for keeping us company. Atlas, thank you for joining me here this evening. Do you want to tell people whereabouts on the interwebs they're able to find you?
Yeah, TikTok, Threads, and Instagram. I know TikTok's supposedly going away soon, so we'll see if I'm still there or not. But Atlas like the Titan, Ursa like the bear. Yeah.
All right. As for me, you can find me behind most of our social media presence at Too Legit to Crit. I'm on TikTok, on Instagram, on Blue Sky. I'm also at natural.juan on Threads and on Mastodon. You can catch up with everything we do at toolegit2crit.uk. You can interact with us at Too Legit to Crit on Threads, as well as our Facebook group, which doesn't see that much love. Go over there and just give us a shout. If you like what we do and you want to see more, give us a like, a rating, subscribe, or even just tell your friends about us. We love being part of this community, and we want to grow with it. Most importantly of all, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who's taken time out of their busy day to listen to two idiots waffle on about tabletop role-playing games. Thank you very much. Good night.